If you're like me, you're probably about to sell your first commercial indie game. Congratulations. The hard part is over. Consider this a victory lap. That's the thing about victory laps though, you still have to run them. Luckily for us, publishing your game on Steam is actually a pretty straightforward process, as long as you're willing to read the documentation and maybe go through a little bit of trial and error. If you publish jam games on itch.io or even Android apps, you'll find a lot of similarities. One thing that's different though is that a lot of the stuff is supposed to be confidential. It's hard to find information on what I can and can't show, so expect to see artist conceptions a lot of the time. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Oh, and wishlist Breezy on Steam. It's important to start the process of getting a coming soon page up as soon as possible. Really, as soon as some of your game's graphics look okay and it has a name, begin thinking about putting one up. If you're used to making games for jams, then you probably have a mindset of making your game and then leaving it alone. But in the marketing world, that's like releasing one tweet on one devlog and leaving it. If you're serious about making money on Steam, it's important to remember that your Steam page can and should change before and after release. So even if your game looks very little like the final product, I'd encourage you to start this process. To get started, go to partner.steamgames.com and begin creating a developer account. You'll need to submit some personal information, including financial information. If you're not a legal adult yet, consider asking someone who is, and who you trust, to help you in this phase. A phase which, by the way, includes a $100 charge up front. This is just to prevent a bunch of low-quality games from clogging the pipeline, and if you begin making money from the game, you'll eventually earn it back. Overall, it's a net zero. Once you fill out a short survey from Tax Identity, you should get an alert that you'll be approved in a few business days. Now, be warned, from personal experience, especially around tax season, Tax Identity may not get back to you. Don't be afraid to file a Steam support ticket if Tax Identity is taking abnormally long. Once I did, I got approved within a day. Once you're an official Steam partner, it's time to create your app. If you've paid the $100, you can create an application, which comes with a beautifully blank Coming Soon page. From there are two screens to get familiar with, the app landing page and the store page admin. Get to the app landing page by clicking on the name of your game, and the store admin page by, clicking store admin. The app landing page has a handy checklist for your store presence. Once you fill everything out, you can publish your store page. Optionally, you'll also want to create a community hub for you as a developer. I won't talk about that here, but you can find it in the documentation. Back to the checklist though, some of these things are more time consuming than others. The hardest ones are the graphical assets, trailer, and long description. Gone are the days where one logo and 5 screenshots are okay. Let's get the hard stuff out of the way first, then move on to the easy stuff. Tabbing over to graphical assets on the store admin page reveals quite a few different images you'll need. Don't worry, a lot of them can be one image with a few slight differences in a different resolution. I recommend making a big version of every image first, then scaling it down to the right resolution, just in case you need full res assets later on. The header capsule here is the most important. It'll show on the Steam page itself. The header capsule, main capsule, and to some extent the vertical capsule can all be the same image, along with the library capsule. For the vertical and library capsules, imagine the box art for a console release of your game. Your small capsule should have your logo in a very large font. Something I found looked pleasing for Breezy was darkening the background of my main capsule and making the logo cover the entire image, but things might be different for your game. As you add these different assets, you can look at them by clicking this button to view your store page in beta mode. If some of the assets like the page background don't show up, it's okay. They will once your page has been released. Remember to also add as many screenshots as possible, and try to vary their primary color and what you're doing. This is hard with Breezy, where 90% of the game is played with the default bird's eye camera, but I still try to mix in some shots that use other cameras. Just make sure you're not using pre-rendered images, even if they're rendered in-engine. If you're using a custom camera to take the pictures, include that camera as an option in your game. For the trailer, you can add as many as you want, but I'd focus on just one. I binge-watched videos by Derek Liu, who has resources on how he made the great trailers for Firewatch, Subnautica, and more available for free on YouTube. He's certainly a better trailer maker than I, but I can give you some of the high-level technical specs. Make your trailer in the maximum quality that Steam can handle, 1080p, 60 FPS with stereo audio. It should be about 1 to 2 minutes, but again, watch Derek Liu's videos, I'm just scratching the surface here. Finally, the description, or the About This Game section. You may think that it's a good idea to have some blurbs of text explaining your game and some pictures for decoration. Actually, this is wrong. You want some GIFs explaining your game and some blurbs of text for decoration. Seriously, the GIFs are very important. I even find myself skipping over the text and just watching them when I'm looking over the page myself. I would recommend taking the structure of your description from the store page of a successful game similar to yours. I chose Celeste for mine. Now for the easy parts. The mature content survey should take about 2 minutes to fill out. You can change the planned release date as much as you want, but I would wait to set it until your store page is out and you've got a definite plan for release. For your support info, just use a support email if you have one. Otherwise, Gmail is free, go make one. Just don't use your regular email, you never know. For the developer and publisher, if you tend to change usernames a lot, this is the time to pick one and stick with it. Or just use your real name. Ever heard of Bennett Foddy? As for your descriptive tags, go through the tag wizard to get most of your tags, then add a few more at the end until you have all 20. Reorder them carefully to match games similar to yours. Finally, just go through your store admin page and do everything that looks easy, even if it's not on the checklist. The more complete your store page is, the more reputable it looks. I recommend linking any social medias where you make content about your game. Once everything's filled out, you should be able to release your coming soon page. Don't bother building up hype before you do that, unless there's a social media account people can follow. A Steam page is a really good call to action for your trailer, tweets, and so on. You get to join the ranks of all the game developers asking people to wishlist their game on Steam. Now that we've got the hard part and the easy part out of the way, the only thing left is the fun part. At least for me, because it involves coding. I'm talking about using the Steamworks SDK, the unsung hero of Steam. There are plenty of Steamworks features to add to your game, but they're all actually optional. If you want, you can upload your game without any modifications at all. Steam recommends you at least add achievements and cloud saves though. Since that's what Breezy has, I'll go into how to implement them yourself with Unity. You'll need the Steamworks.net plugin, which you can find pretty easily. You'll also want to download the plain Steamworks SDK to upload your builds. With the Steamworks.net plugin, add the Steam Manager to a place where just one instance will be present throughout your game, a singleton. Luckily, I already have a game object like that, which also holds the saving, level loading, music, Discord integration, and more. Also, change the app ID in the root folder of the project to the one for your game. I recommend designing all of your achievements ahead of time. Each one takes about 10 minutes to implement in total, depending on complexity, so keep that in mind. You can also have stats, which are a nice thing to put on the store page, and little else. You'll need to set up each stat and achievement in the section of your Steamworks admin page. When you want to unlock an achievement, simply use Set Achievement. If you have a cheat code to reset your game, make sure to reset the stats and achievements as well. Just don't reset the game before loading the save file like I did. That caused a lot of headaches. Next, the cloud saves. These are even more simple than the achievements once you set them up. I recommend using Steam's Auto Cloud. With this feature, cloud saves are just Steam waiting until you close the game, then copying the save data from a local folder into the cloud. No fancy tricks here. All you have to do as a developer is enable Auto Cloud, then add some sensible defaults for the amount of data to be transferred. One snag is that you can't transfer Unity's player prefs. Other than that though, everything's good. Finally, it comes time to upload your game. You need to do this several times if you're testing out achievements or cloud saves. There's a tool provided in the Steamworks SDK that allows you to upload all your files with a simple command line interface. If you're on Windows, there's also a convenient GUI tool. Once you've done that, go to the Builds page and set the latest build as default for the depot. The Steamworks documentation has a good explanation of exactly what builds and depots are. Then publish your changes to Steam. Don't worry, this doesn't release your game. From there, set your prices, install directory, and all the other easy stuff on the checklist. From there, you're ready to release. I'll add a few disclaimers here. I would have added them at the beginning, but you would have clicked off the video. Don't deny it, I do the same thing. I haven't released Breezy yet, so I tried to focus on things I've already done. If you need more information, there are two places you should look. For the technical side of things, check out the Steamworks documentation, along with the Steamworks discussion board. For the design, check out this video by Jonas Tyroller and Chris Zukowski. It does an astounding job at explaining what makes a Steam page appealing. And don't forget Derek Liu's videos. And to wishlist Breezy on Steam, can't stress that one enough. Have a good day.